Good evening. My name is Nick Sturgeon, President of the Speedway Town Council. I will call our January 27th, 2025 meeting in order at 7:03. Let's please stand and recite the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Go ahead with introductions. To my far right is Town Manager Grant Kleinhans.
Good evening.
Next to him is Councilor Sarah Gardner.
Good evening.
And to my immediate right, Councilor Sean Harold.
Hello.
To the far left, Town Attorney Ted Nolting.
Good evening.
Next to him is Town Clerk Treasurer Philip Faust.
Good evening.
Next to him is Councilor Vince Noblet.
Good evening.
And to my immediate left, Vice President Jason Delisle.
Good evening.
All right. Go ahead with the next item on our agenda, approval of minutes of the January 13th, 2025 meeting.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from the January 13th, 2025 meeting as presented.
I'll second.
All right. Any discussion, changes? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approving the minutes from the January 13th, 2025 meeting, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 5-0. Item 3, memorandum, approval of memorandum of joint executive session of the Speedway Town Council and Redevelopment Commission on January 13th, 2025.
I'll make a motion for the approval of the memorandum of joint executive session of the Speedway Town Council and the Redevelopment Commission on January 13th, 2025.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor of approving the memorandum of joint executive session of the Speedway Town Council and Redevelopment Commission on January 13th, 2025, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, passes 5-0. Item 4, memorandum of approval of administrative session of the Speedway Town Council on January 13th, 2025.
I'll make a motion that we approve the memorandum of administrative session of the Speedway Town Council on January 13th, 2025.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, hearing none, I call for a vote. All those in favor of approving the memorandum of administrative session of the Speedway Town Council on January 13th, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Number 5, approval of a sell quote from Radar Sign for a solar power radar sign for the street department. Grant?
Yes, so we discussed this a couple of weeks ago. We have acquired this proposal for the purchase of 8 solar-powered radar signs. Specifically, we are going to place at least 4 of these on Auburn Street between Crawfordsville Road and 25th Street, because we do have a cut-through speeding problem in that area. We are going to try these out. These are the same radar signs that we have throughout town. This will give us 4 replacements as well for all of them. As the moment someone runs into one or a tree falls on one, we're going to need to replace that. So we will have 4 on hand and deploy 4 on Auburn. We also are asking for the optional red-blue strobes. It won't be visually disturbing or visually really apparent other than to the drivers. It's not like it will be shining into the neighborhood. But that total, with the discount and shipping, will be $29,706. So we are recommending approval of this. Rob will get those ordered and we will pay those from our motor vehicle highway funds.
Okay.
We're hoping to address some of the issue on Auburn If this doesn't work, we'll have to look at other alternatives.
I'll make a motion for the approval of a sales quote from Radar Sign for a solar panel radar sign for the street department.
I'll second.
Go ahead.
All right, any discussion?
No, I just think these signs will at least give some visibility to those individuals that are racing up and down the streets. And I think they worked out well on Lyndhurst, at least to bring attention to it. It's not going to eliminate it, but it'll bring attention to it.
I was going to say too, Grant, if we like the red and blue strobes, it'd be interesting to see if we could do that as an add-on to existing signs too.
I can ask that question.
Okay.
I'm not sure it will be able to add on because I believe it is internal and comes through the actual where you'll see the light where it says 35, slow down. Those are the red and blue strobes. It's like that white stuff is red and blue. So it's not like another item sticking on, but I'll ask that question. Maybe there's something we can buy to retrofit if we like that better.
Or even like, when I was doing a little bit of research, I know we talked about like, do these help? Like we talked about, does it even slow down traffic? One of the things I read was even just moving them from time to time, right? So,
Sure.
You know, I know it's not super easy just to move a sign, but you know, they talked about if once you get used to knowing where that sign is, and if you constantly drive, you know, oh, slow down, keep going, slow down, you know, so you could move them around maybe. Again, we'll have 4 additional, so we can kind of look to see what's working, what isn't, or do we want these on Lyndhurst too, because it is working, or change them around. I don't know how easy or hard that is, but
It's not overly difficult.
Yeah.
They're solar powered, so you don't have any electric concerns or power concerns. It shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
Getting the utilities located is the process that takes a week to 10 days, and then they just put concrete in and
yeah,
set them up, so.
yeah, I think it's good.
And I think the other thing is we have looked at other means, but they would be in-street items such as speed tables like on Main Street or bump outs that would restrict the width of the road at certain points. We don't want to do that if this will solve some of the we'll continually work on this issue. This is a step, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? All right, hearing none, I'll call for a vote on the approval of a sales quote from Radar Sign for a solar power radar sign for the street department. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Item 6, approval of a proposal for purchase of a 2025 one-ton crew cab pickup truck. Grant.
Yes, so this is a process of changing out our fleet and the street department specifically. We did put in the budget for 2025. Actually, $75,000 is what we budgeted for this product. One-ton crew cab pickup truck. We received 3 quotes. Hare Chevrolet was the lowest quote at $60,350. We are recommending approval of that quote, ordering of that truck. I'm not sure what the delivery period is on that. The remaining $15,000 will be used to purchase the plow, some of the other accoutrement for the truck itself so it can be useful in snow removal, but we will still be significantly under that budget amount, probably by $5,000 to $10,000.
Okay. All right, is there a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve the proposal for the purchase of 2025 one-ton crew cab pickup truck.
Second.
All right, any discussion or questions?
I'm glad to see that some of the pricing has come down from 100,000 to 60,000.
Yeah.
My question too was just maybe about timing. I mean, I'm not much one to buy trucks, but just with the year, you know, I think the one they're replacing is 2006. Is that what I saw? So just the timing of a 2025 versus a 2024, or, you know, waiting till the 2026s, and then just the timing of when we're purchasing it, like being this time of year versus waiting till the new ones come out, so these maybe drop or into year time. Just, that was only my thought, or is this
Okay.
just how we usually
We
do it?
typically buy some of the larger new equipment in that first quarter of the year.
Just because.
It's because it's a budgetary item
Yeah.
and we're trying to get rid of
Get
an
it.
old piece that is somewhat of a liability to
Yeah.
replace it and move those trucks down the line.
Okay.
I can discuss with the staff, maybe we do for next year, plan to buy stuff at the end of the year or commit to stuff at the end of the year, then we can make those payments. Because then you can get a 2025
Right.
for a small discount.
Yeah, I mean, again, I know we're in the budget, but I thought just as we're trying to constantly be
Sure.
aware, would timing of it change,
Yeah.
because 10 grand here, 20, that could add up, so just a thought.
I do know that vehicles typically are more cost effective in that first quarter of the year because of taxes and the way inventory laws work.
Okay.
But I can discuss that with the staff.
Okay.
Don't buy a pickup truck in May or June either. I wouldn't,
Not a good time either.
Yeah.
you know.
Any further discussion or questions? All right, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approving a proposal for purchase of a 2025 one-ton crew cab pickup truck, say aye.
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 All those opposed? Passes 5-0. Next item, approval of proposal for professional services through Wessler Engineering for the backflow prevention 2025 implementation project grant.
It's missing an F in the professional, so I'm glad you read that properly. So if you remember, I think it was in November, we approved an ordinance amendment to our backflow prevention kind of program at the direction of IDEM and some law changes. Since that time, we have sent out surveys. We've asked Wessler to give us a proposal to assist in us. We only have 450 of those, but assisting us in the tracking, some of the inspections, although our staff will do a majority of that. So this proposal is to assist with that, 40 hours of on-call assistance, an amount of $8,000 for this assistance over the next 6 months. So we are recommending approval of this and ask that you approve it tonight with Wessler.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion for the approval of proposal for professional services through Wessler Engineering for the backup flow prevention 2025 implementation project.
I'll second it.
Any discussion or questions?
So you might be asking, what's a backflow preventer? Anytime you're hooked onto a public water system and you have the potential to contaminate that public water system because you're a restaurant, manufacturing firm, you sell chemicals or create chemicals, that has the option of that then flushing back into the system. We require by ordinance and by law that you have a backflow preventer on your side of the tap. Not required for residences, offices, but most buildings that are commercial related do require this. So I don't know if the public was saying, well, what is this? Not everybody needs this, just I think we have 450 of these in town. And we have to certify every year that those are up to snuff, have been inspected, and are working properly.
So just for my clarification, is this mainly office level work or is this on-site type of?
It's mainly office level work for them to do to coordinate some of that reporting and those requirements that are required by IDEM and the state. They might assist with some inspections depending on what's going on. We really only have the one plumbing inspector and then our building commissioner. The water superintendent and the distribution foreman can do the inspections. We typically don't like that because they don't have all the licenses required. So Nancy Cho at Wessler does and might help sometimes with some of those inspections. But you're correct, probably 75 to 80% is just the documentation and reporting, that kind of thing.
So some of the things that could get us in trouble if it's not done correctly?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And we are required every year to certify to the state, so they help with that. And this is a new program that we didn't have to budget for last year because of some law changes. We had to amend our ordinance to conform, and before we could put monies in our budget. So this is a little over our budgeted funds, but we'll make up for this throughout the year.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? All right, hearing none, I will call for a vote. All those in favor of the proposal for professional services through Wessler Engineering for the backflow prevention 2025 implementation project, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes 5-0. All right, item 8, Resolution 2025-02, a resolution for a reimbursement from the Leopardo Energy Savings Contract. Philip?
Yes, council might remember last year we did one of these for the GEO bond. It was one of our first steps before we did all the subsequent agreements and whatnot that you approved. This reimbursement resolution allows us to take bond proceeds, if we do issue them, and then pay ourselves back for money we've already paid for the Leopardo project, which would be the first 20% down payment we did last year, and then we just received another invoice, so there'll be another large payment probably that you'll be approving at the next council meeting. So it doesn't fully commit us to doing financing, but it just says that that's kind of our intent moving forward, and we're looking into it, and that if we do procure that financing, we will use some of those funds to pay our sewer fund back.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-02, which is a resolution for reimbursement from the Leopardo Energy Savings Contract.
I'll second.
Any comments, questions?
Grant, what's the timing on this thing? Are we still on schedule?
Yeah, so I sent out an email summary later this afternoon. The equipment has been ordered. It has about a 30-week lead time. I think it was ordered the 3rd or 4th week of December. It should be here by the end of July. They will start the piping and electrical work in June, so it'll be done when the equipment arrives so that they can install the equipment, hook it up, go through the testing and the process to get it switched over, because we're going to go off of Citizens Energy and onto our own energy for the heating of the plant. So that should be done and operational around September 8th, I think is the date that they have given us. And then we will have to apply for the Investment Reduction Act tax credit in January, February of 2026. I don't want to think about then. But that's going to be a $450,000 credit, I believe. So that's kind of the timeline that we're working on. They also will start the procurement review for our various contracts. Philip this morning sent signed letters of authorization to Leopardo Group for, I think it was 5 different vendors, so that they can negotiate with them to try to get us better prices for things like maintenance, I think uniforms. What were the other?
Lowe's was one of those.
Yeah, Lowe's was one.
The others were fuel, I think.
Yeah, fuel and I think chemicals and polymers. So they will negotiate those using their buying power, hopefully then saving us, I think it's $20,000 to $30,000 annually, which is something we're excited about.
Yeah.
Because we can leverage that buying power of a larger corporation and get those savings. So that's the kind of timeline at this point.
Okay. So we're currently,
We are on schedule.
we're on schedule, but we're also burning the gas off right now, right?
Yeah, we basically
We're
light it.
capturing it, so we don't have to recapture anything
Yeah.
or putting additional money into
Well,
the capture process.
Anytime you capture methane off of human waste like this, it's a little wetter, it's a little more humid, and it is harder on equipment. So you have to buy a certain type of equipment to actually capture it. That's what this project
Right.
is really designed to do. And I know that sounds really kind of gross, but it's not dry methane gas. It's kind of got moisture in it.
Great, thanks.
Yeah. And it will heat our full plant and has the potential for us to return some energy to the grid. There's some terms, I think, in the agreements that we could get credits from citizens. There's a whole bunch of things. It will be a good project for us.
Good.
Hopefully saving $100,000+ a year over time, each year.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, hearing none, I will call for a vote. All those in favor of approving Resolution 2025-02, a resolution for reimbursement from the Leopardo Energy Savings Contract, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes 5-0. Number 9, ordinance number 1406, and ordinance amending ordinance 1403, establishing jobs and salaries to be paid certain officers, positions, and jobs within the town of Speedway, Indiana for the year 2025. Philip.
Thank you. Last year around this time, you authorized us for the first time to do a clothing allowance for certain employees. Think of some of our street employees, our parks employees, some of our utility employees. And it worked well last year, so I'm asking you to go ahead and re-up that for this year. It simplifies some of the administrative burden on and I think makes it cleaner for tax purposes. So happy to answer any questions you might have, but overall, I'm pleased with how it happened, or how it went in 2024.
I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance number 1406 and ordinance amending ordinance 1403, establishing jobs and salaries to be paid certain offices, positions, and jobs within the town of Speedway, Indiana for the year 2025.
I'll second it.
Any comments or questions for Philip or Grant?
Yeah, Phil, does this then allow this to just continue moving forward, or will we have to do this every year to the ordinance?
We'll have to do it every year.
Okay,
I think you all had asked me to do it as a trial last time.
yeah,
If the feeling is that we can just keep it going forward, what I'll do is that in December, when we do our regular salary ordinance,
Okay.
I'll just include it as a regular paragraph
Perfect.
going forward with everything else.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that would make sense.
Yep.
Okay.
So we need consent on this one. Unanimous consent and a
thank you.
two-thirds vote, since it is first reading.
Okay. Did not see that on there, so I will ask for a motion for unanimous consent to consider passing on the first reading.
I'll make an ordinance to pass, I'll make a motion to pass ordinance 1406, which establishes jobs and salaries to be paid certain offices, positions, and jobs within the town of Speedway by unanimous consent.
I'll second.
Did I do that right?
It'll work.
Rusty.
Any discussion on this current motion?
I don't think so.
I think if it's working well, it worked well last year, let's do it again.
All right, so this is for the unanimous consent first. So all those in favor of approving the unanimous consent for passing this ordinance 1406 on first reading, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? So the motion for unanimous consent passes. Any additional discussion on the original motion to approve ordinance number 1406? All right, I will call for a vote to approve ordinance number 1406 and ordinance amending ordinance 1403, establishing jobs and salaries to be paid certain offices, positions, and jobs within the town of Speedway, Indiana for the year 2025 on first reading. Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes 5-0. That was a tongue twister. Item 10, approval of claims and utility adjustments. Philip?
Thank you. I do have requests for both this evening, and they span the dates of January 9th, 2025 through January 22nd, 2025. The claims span 13 pages and total $2,207,525.44. The adjustments span 5 pages. It's for 12 customers, and I would ask for your approval.
Is there a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion for the approval of claims and utility adjustments.
I'll second that.
All right, any comments or questions for Philip?
Mine was just more of, just what does RPS stand? I was like, it's not UPS, it's not the post office. I don't know what that meant for the delayed, because I
Yeah.
saw multiple customers, right, having the same issue.
RPS is one of the names for our payment processing company. And so they come and pick up checks that are left in the drop box, or
Gotcha.
certain checks get mailed to them, and then they process them. And my staff became suspicious when they heard a few different repeat stories from different customers.
Yeah.
And so they looked into it some more, and they determined that there was some delay in either the pickup or the processing, leading to some payments that really were made before we would have applied the late fees, not getting
Okay.
processed properly.
What is the period for the late fee to be attached? Is it a 5-day window? Is it, like, it has to be by the 1st and then it's late, or what is the policy currently?
So due date is on the 10th.
Okay.
Usually, depending on, sometimes we give a little grace beyond the actual due date, but
Okay, but then it's late after that. Like, so if you turn it on the 11th, you get that $5 fee. Correct, okay. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? All right, hearing none, I'll call for a vote for approval of claims and utility adjustments. Say aye. If you-
Aye.
All those, sorry.
Caught me off guard there.
Jason was ready.
Yeah, sorry, I'll restate that. All those in favor of approving our claims and utility adjustments, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Motion passes 5-0. Sorry, first full meeting.
Doing great.
Really eager to approve those.
Yeah, just,
I do.
yeah. Town manager report.
I have no report this evening.
All right, move on to counselor reports. Counselor Sarah Gardner.
Yes, nothing for me tonight.
Counselor Sean Harold.
Nothing from me tonight either.
Counselor Vince Noblett.
Just a few quick things. Again, I want to thank the street department for their due diligence and keeping our streets clean and applying the salt down where needed and still being efficient. I also saw them out there patching, holes out in Crawfordsville Road and along High School. They got tons of potholes on 25th Street, but there's no helping that place. But they do diligently try to fix those holes before they become craters and start tearing up vehicles. So my hat goes off to be out there on this kind of cold weather and doing that, but they attempt to get it done.
Can I add some commentary to
go
what
ahead.
you just said? I don't know that the average resident really understands pothole patching. When it's under a certain, 15 degrees, we typically do what's called cold patch. So we put in basically just rock that fills the hole to make it so you don't fall in, right? When it's above a certain degrees, then we get out the hot box and we can do a real repair. So that's why you'll see when it's been 3 and 4 and 5 degrees, you can't be out doing that kind of work. You can, but it's with cold patch. So you try to make it passable, and then when it gets warm like today, I assume you saw them today.
Yeah, well, I saw them
out.
out there last week.
There you go.
Yeah.
It was a little warmer at the end of the week.
Yeah.
A little warmer is not much to say, but that's kind of the process. You just, it needs to be at least kind of close to freezing or above to really do that real repair. Just FYI.
Okay.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Vice President Jason Delisle.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Grant and Cheryl for Citizens Academy. I believe we had our first session last week.
Yep, last Tuesday evening. Yep.
A lot of good feedback on that. I know several people that are participating in that, and I just think that's an awesome thing for the town, for our citizens. Very cool. So just wanted to thank you and Cheryl.
Yeah. First session's always fun because I don't think people really know what to expect, and it's probably the more boring of the 5 sessions. I'm doing the talking, so it's a little boring, but yeah, we had good attendance, and the next one is next Tuesday, Streets and Parks.
All right, I know, continuing on the weather theme, it's been really cold out last week. Hopefully, we're going to be in a little bit of a warm-up this week, but when it is that cold, just check on your elderly neighbors, make sure that, they're getting their things, groceries, help, whatever, just to say hi. But outside of that, nothing else to report, and I will call this meeting adjourned at 7:33.